Let's talk sector specific. And while the markets have been in correction mode, the auto space has seen some of the worst performance in the month of September, with new launches not really making their mark for most auto majors. Car makers are pinning their hopes on the festive season to turn the story around. Will September then be really a game changer for the sector? We're being joined by Bharat Gianani. Angel Broking. Bharat, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us here on Bloomberg TV India. I want to start by talking about, the commercial vehicle sales. It has been picking up a little, but now with concern on the monsoon and reports coming in that we're going to see a price increase on CVs. How do you think that space is really going to pan out for some of the companies that depend on it really heavily?
Good morning. As you know, from the October month, the new safety regulation come in, and they will probably increase the prices by about 3 to 4%. But I feel it will not have any material impact on the CV demand because the CV demand is directly linked to the health of the economy. And as we know, in the last 2 years, the CV sales, particularly MHCV segment sales, have been declining by 25% every year in the last 2 years. So the base has been really low, and in FY15 we saw the sales of the MHCVs picking up, particularly the segment per se saw a 16% growth in FY15. So we expect the trend to continue in that direction because the economy has been on the revival mode. There has been push on the infrastructure and the road projects. So we believe that given the economic revival, the policy action focus of the government, and the low base which the MHCVs have made in the previous slowdown, will really help in keeping the momentum up, and we expect a double-digit growth to continue in the MHCV space over the next 2 years. So safety regulations per se, I don't think will have a material impact on the CV segment.
Bharat, what are you putting your bets on for this September sales that we will get, and for the festive season? Who do you think are going to be the obvious gainers? New launches, especially from Maruti, you think will continue the flavor on?
As you rightly pointed out, we are expecting good numbers from the MHCV segment. MHCV segment, obviously, in the month of September, we will see a slightly higher numbers as the new safety regulations come into effect from the month of October. So there will be a certain amount of pre-buying, so that will benefit Ashok Leyland the most in the month of September. It is expected to post 36 to 37% growth in the month of September, led by the MHCV segment. You rightly pointed out the new launches by the passenger vehicle players, be it the Marutis, the Hyundai, and the Mahindras as well. This will definitely help in moving up the sales for the passenger vehicle segment. Also, given the recent rate cut by the RBI is sort of a festive gift for the passenger vehicle companies, since about 65 to 70% of the passenger vehicle sales come from the financing route, and definitely it will help in reducing the EMI cost. So new launches coupled with the recent rate cut will probably lead to a passenger vehicle segment growing in mid-single digits in our view for the entire year. And Maruti, this month we are expecting about 6 to 7% growth for Maruti, led by the new launches, especially the S-Cross.
We were talking about the deficient monsoon, and one sector that's very closely linked to that is the two-wheeler space. How much of an impact do you think two-wheelers are going to take both in this quarter and this month, as well as for this half of the year?
As you rightly pointed out, out of the entire auto spectrum, the two-wheeler is the most dependent sector on the rural segment, and as we know, the rains have been below normal for the second consecutive month. Also, the MSP prices hikes have been on lower than the previous years. So coupled with the lower rains and the lower farm realizations on back of the lower hike in the MSP prices has already seen the impact on the two-wheeler sales. So the two-wheeler sales have been flattish to slightly negative in the last 5 months. We expect this trend to aggravate in this month. The reasons being that the rural general, the rains have been on the lower side. And also, if you remember, last year September, the festive season started early in the September, and this year the festive season would start in October. So in this month, we expect the two-wheeler players to post a mid single-digit decline in their sales. So we expect Hero MotoCorp as well as Bajaj to report to 6 to 7% decline in their volumes. TVS also is likely to report flattish to slightly negative volumes. So yeah, you're right. Two-wheeler sales will have definitely an impact.
Before we let you go, Bharat, I want to get a sense on outside the main vehicle movers or the vehicle producers. What about the secondary auto companies such as the tire makers or the battery makers? Everybody's taken a battery price hike today. Amara Raja has been an outperformer on the Boses as well. Would you look at some of these other counters, JK Tyre, for example? I know at one point Angel did have a buy on that counter as well. What are you looking at?
As far as the battery and the tires segment is concerned, we are not very bullish on that space. Battery segment, again, Amara Raja has been outperforming Exide, but then the valuations have been quite stretched for Amara Raja. It's trading at about 24 to 25 times the FY17 estimated numbers, which is on the higher side. As the tire segment, we see that the benefits of the margin improvement have been largely factored, because we believe that the commodity prices have bottomed out, the natural rubber as well as the crude prices, and also the threat of the Chinese players is high on the tire segment. The Chinese players, particularly on the radial side, have a market share of about 15 to 20% in the replacement radial market.
Bharat, so, I want to interrupt you for a second. We've just got the Maruti sales numbers out. I'd like to read those out for our viewers and for you as well. Maruti sales for the month of September coming in at 1.13 lakh units versus 1.09 lakh units the year ago. The month-on-month comparison, if I'm getting these figures right, will show a slight decline on a month-on-month basis from 1.17. So on a year-on-year basis, there is a jump coming, but on a month-on-month basis, there is a bit of a decline. Exports have declined quite significantly, even on a year-on-year basis. Exports are down to 7,676 units versus 10,000 units. All in all, you've got sales up 3% on a year-on-year basis. On a month-on-month basis, the picture is probably not looking that good. I'll try and get my colleague Hiralin as well, who will probably give us more details on the breakup as well. But your first take on these numbers, Bharat, as we get these auto sales from Maruti. The stock is down 1%, but fluctuating and undecided right now whether it should recover or not.
Actually, the sales numbers have been marginally below expectations. We were expecting a growth of about 7% for Maruti Suzuki, and we are expecting a sales of 1.18 lakh units. So it's marginally below our estimates. But then, as we know that the new launches momentum and the upcoming festive season will definitely help to boost the sales higher in the coming months for Maruti.
But Bharat, aside from the fact that, you know, one or two of their products for Maruti, including a Ciaz, have really managed to give a little bit of a bump up, we're seeing labor issue concerns. We've been talking, in fact, with the labor unions that have been threatening strike. And every time you've seen one company having some sort of labor issues, it generally tends to percolate in that entire belt. Is this something that you're looking at very seriously at this point?
Labor issues in previously also have impacted the entire the northern belt, where we had some amount of unrest, but the negotiations as of now, the company is doing that, and we expect this time around the negotiations to really happen, and it will not have any serious impact than the last time. I don't foresee any production disruption or the strikes impacting, or not any possibility of production or any financial loss to Maruti Suzuki this time around. Yeah, there have been some of the problems, but it would really not impact the production this time around, is what our sense is.
All right, Bharat, thanks for that. I want to reiterate on Maruti sales at this point that 3.7% is the year-on-year growth. On a month-on-month basis, the sales are down 3.5%. This is the second month-on-month decline we've seen from Maruti. For the month of August as well, there was a month-on-month decline to the tune of 3%. So second consecutive 3% downtick coming on a month-on-month basis. Exports, even on a year-on-year basis, have now seen a decline for the second straight month. It was down 11% in the month of August, 26.5%. Sales are down 26.5% on a year-on-year basis. This is the fourth consecutive month-on-month drop for sales, for exports at least, for Maruti, which is seen now a consistent. For a full fiscal year up to this point, sales are up 11%, total sales are up 11%, domestic sales are up 12%, and exports are up nearly 3.5%. That's the story of Maruti, a big outperformer on the index on a YTD basis, stock taking a bit of pressure right now.
All right, on that note, completely out of time then on the show, but thanks so much for watching. More coming up on the other side. To stay tuned.